Um, a couple things that we were considering or some possibilities that we could look at are increasing the number of youth participating in programming. So like a lot of you have said that, there's strong programming and you just would like to increase the number of youth that you're reaching. So helping each other do something like that. Another possibility is, as we talked about last time, planning an annual youth resource fair that's collective and really dynamic, allowing us to kind of showcase all of the great things about our organizations. A third option would be adding more programming, new programming, or expanding programming to other sites, which is something else we talked about last time as far as place and location and how we look at our spaces that we're using. But we're also open to other ideas. So if you have something that you think would work well as a collective goal for us to work through, you can either bring it up in our breakout groups or you can throw it in the chat while we're kind of talking through this. And then, so like I said, we're gonna split you up into a few groups, give you a chance to kind of spend a few more minutes talking about your programs, just, getting to know each other further and getting to understand the goals and objectives you each have. So take about a minute each to do that. And then we'll spend the rest of the 10 minutes discussing the collective goal you think we should take on. So some of the things to consider with that. Is it realistic for us as a network to accomplish? Does it positively impact the youth in our neighborhoods? And which do you find to be most compelling for you and your organization? Like which one gets you excited and makes you want to work toward that goal? So as you can see on the slide, those are the options that we kind of discussed and are open to others as well. What we'll have you do is when you're talking through it, we want you to rank the collective goal in order of preference as a group. And then we'll come back as a whole and each group can share their rankings and we'll go from there and figure out which one we want to work on. So as you have this conversation, just keep in mind that you will be sharing the results if you want to pick someone to represent your group. Does anyone have any questions before I send people into breakout rooms or have anything they want to add? All good. All right. So I'm going to set this up and you will be sent into your breakout rooms shortly and you'll have about 10 minutes. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had some good conversations in there in your breakout rooms. And I just want to make a note too, as we continue working in this format, if there are people that you have an interest in being partnered with, you can just shoot me an email or let us know in some way, and that way we can pair you up in the breakout rooms so that we can be more strategic about it. Okay, so we're gonna jump into some discussion about what you all just talked about. Is there anyone who wants to go first and share what their group kind of chose?
I can start.
Great.
All right, so I'm Michaela Dupont. I am the Southside educator for Teens Grow Greens. I was in the breakout room with Rachel, Yessie, and Eloisa, and we really like we spent our most time, I think, talking about the youth resource fair and how that could be a really great event if we had like all like good incentives for youth to come and participate and really take advantage of that opportunity. And then we would rank second the idea of expanding programming like across different sites and getting more youth to participate those and building connections with other partners through different sites.
Okay, so specifically like the site expanding to different sites is the,
I think so. I think one of my group members can say if they were thinking something else, but I think that's what we decided on as our top two.
okay, thank you. And thanks for joining. It's nice to meet you.
Likewise, thanks for having me.
All right, anybody else from another group?
I'm not shy. I'll jump in here.
Thanks, Erin.
We were looking at this list and we actually kind of felt like it was in order. It would be kind of nice to just start with getting more young people into the programs that we know we already have. And then potentially that could kind of lead into that year, the annual event. But one thing that I was kind of wondering is if we had like a document, one central location that really kind of explained what the programs were and kind of qualifications and stuff like that, so that if I run into a young person, I can say like, oh, well, you know, this program or this program, and we can refer a little bit more easily.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good idea because I was kind of playing around with like some sort of document that told us all like who has programming and who has youth that need programming. So we could definitely look at creating something like that. That would be good. Thank you. All right, who's next?
I can share next. Our group ranked increasing the number of youth participating in programming as a tie with expand to other sites from part 3. And again, the emphasis being on that piece versus looking to add more programming or any new programming, just broadening our reach.
Mm-hmm.
And then our national questions came into like the funding piece and thoughts around potentially using that as like then a collective proposal with Northwestern Mutual. So those were the two that we had.
All right, thank you, Mary. And then I think there was one more group, last but not least.
I can talk. This is Patrick Schrank, Program Director at Milwaukee Christian Center. And I was talking with Samantha and Laura representing First Stage and Mitchell School. We sort of ranked resource fair, getting youth into existing programs, and then thinking that in those processes, you get to talk directly to families and young people and understand where gaps or where desires might be to build out new programming. And then just a thought is we think about like a tool or what have you, like we're discussing, is just thinking about how this links with things that are citywide or countywide. And I know that the Office of Violence Prevention had toyed with the idea of piloting a like connection. I think a little bit more focused on middle and high school age youth, but like an online tool this summer. It didn't happen, but they have talked about launching something for school year. So I don't know where that's at. But if that were to exist, that might be a way that this group can not recreate the wheel, but tap in. And then like, depending on the capabilities of that tool, really identify what the area around Muskego Way has and doesn't have.
Thanks, Patrick. And yeah, maybe as things progress with that initiative, you can keep us in the loop and maybe we can figure out a way to tap into that. Well, that seems like a lot of ties, but I don't know, Edith, did you grab the tab?
Well, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be doing that or not. I kind of got something jotted down, and yeah, it seems like everyone pretty much tied.
So maybe we should just talk through that a little bit. Because the thing is, this would just be a starting place, right? And we can actually do one or two at the same time. We just don't want it to become burdensome. And the hope is that we'll be able to do others down the road. So do you all feel like the expanding programming to youth and expanding the sites that we offer programming at are like a good place to start, and then using that energy to later look at a youth resource fair? Or I guess just kind of like, since we have a tie, what are your thoughts?
This is Eloisa. I think one thing that might be helpful, and not necessarily right now, but I think you need to say, what does the outcome look like, and how would you get there? And that could help make a strategic decision on focusing on one or two. But if you have a sense of what the outcome is going to look like, I think you're more able to settle in on something to move it forward. But and I suspect, there's kind of a range of thinking of what the outcome, a successful outcome would look like. But I think it's worth usually spending some time on that just to, before you kind of move forward.
Just going to throw out there that changing sites can be really difficult and sometimes costly. So I think trying to kind of pick things that we can do without necessarily adding new costs might be our best bet. And maybe that can help us kind of figure out like where we need to put new sites. I think that is also something to kind of like, are the kids not coming because of the location, or are they not coming because they don't know that programming is there?
Yeah, those are really good questions. Does anyone else have any thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll just add that I think increasing the number of youth and the resource fair are, I won't say they're one and the same, but they're related, because the resource fair almost becomes one of the hows in terms of increasing the number of youth that are actually participating in programming. And maybe that's, something that is a how in a year, or 2 years, something similar, but I think it's really a how to increasing the number of youth.
I think that's a great point. That was kind of what I was starting to think, since there is such an interest in all of them. Maybe the youth resource fair, I think it would take a bit of planning anyway, so we would have some time to focus on the other two goals to start, and then we can have that fair in the back of our minds and continue thinking about what that could look like until it's time to talk about it. Those are just my thoughts, so I don't know if anyone else feels that maybe so obviously I would say that expanding the youth that we offer programming to is a clear goal that we all have an interest in. So that could definitely be number one focus for now. Do you think we want to stick with that being the one we start with, or would we like to add considerations of expanding site programming for people that it might apply to? I was thinking about last time how Boys and Girls Club talks about that a lot, as far as their reach beyond their own building. So it wouldn't have to apply to everyone, Ariel, to your point, but it could be something that we work through as well. So do we want to just start with expanding programming to youth, or would we like to take on those two goals?
I like what Tanzania said about that. Like if our goal is to get more programming to increase the youth in programming, even expanding might also fall under that, because it might be that one of the organizations that's in our group might realize that they could service more youth if they also expanded. So I think we can fold that in. And then, like you said, Tanzania, that's a good point with the youth fair. That really is its point, is to get more youth knowing what we're doing and coming under. So I think that could fold in also. And then we could talk next time, maybe like as Eloise talked about, like about our outcome goals, like how many youth are we serving now? And where are people struggling? Where would people want to add more youth, and talk more about like what that goal, like what that outcome we're looking for is.
And then I just want to read off Jose's comment. I think the list of programming from each org that already exists, along with a resource fair, would allow us to learn about the great programs currently existing. Then we can identify opportunities before creating or expanding new ones. Okay. Lots of great points here that everyone's bringing up. Yeah.
And I think that gives us a concrete way of hearing about each other's programs, because it's not just learning what we do, but we could really get in the nuts and bolts. Like, who are we serving already? Where? What are the ages? Are there certain areas of the neighborhood we're hitting, or certain from certain high schools or middle schools, certain types of programming? Like, where do we have strong youth participation, and where are there some gaps? We could really get into being really specific, Jose, like as your comment says. Has anyone ever used good mapping software?
No.
All right, that's one thing we can look into, because I think that can help us.
What is that, Rachel?
Well, there's all different kinds, from like, we'll have to kind of think about it, but there's software that like helps you map out location. That's one thing. It like feeds onto a street map.
Ariel said where our current sites and their numbers, so we can figure out if we have or haven't been successful when we do make a change. LandGrid is what we use at Safe and Sound. We also have LandGrid or Regrid that we've been using for housing data, but yeah, right, exactly. So that could be a potential avenue there. And I think, so in the next meeting, we'll likely talk about some of these specific that Rachel was mentioning. But if there's any that come to mind for you right now that you'd like us to work into the conversation next time, now's a good time to mention that. If there's anything you think we should spend some time working through, or, defining as like, as something we should pay attention to while we're deciding how to go about this collective goal, you can bring that up now and let us know.
I just had a,
Go ahead.
so maybe just a suggestion, and I know there's the survey, and I think some of this information is already captured there. And to Rachel's point of maybe it's for next meeting, every organization can take 2 to 3 minutes, and maybe it's a single slide that says, what you are currently doing, like what your goal is in terms of youth, participation, and kind of what your gaps are and your needs are. Because maybe that would help to, because I'm sure there's overlap between all of the organizations in terms of our needs and our gaps. And I think that could help inform, those 2 to 3 hows that we identify under increasing youth programming or youth participation in programming.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Oh, Patrick, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think towards the previous conversation around what is our outcome, I just want to introduce like another way to look at it rather than looking at the data from the side of like programs. So how many kids am I serving? How many kids might, you know, I do outreach to, and how many more kids might I serve? Is to flip it a little bit and measure that from the community side. Like if we were to do a resource fair and do a survey that, I mean, you could do like a retroactive survey of participants and say like, did you increase your, you know, knowledge of, there's better ways to word this, but of opportunities in the community, and really making the measure whether families and young people feel like they're knowledgeable on the opportunities in front of them, and sort of more measuring that community connectedness to programming, because participation in programming can be, it can be an interesting measure. It doesn't necessarily get at whether a particular community feels like they have access to the programs around them.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah, I really like looking at it that way. Thank you. So a couple comments. Sounds like we would have a place to do the fair if and when we get to that point. Thank you, Laura, for asking about that. And that seems like a perfect fit. And then Ariel said after an all org share out, maybe we could all input what kind of information we want to include in programming documents so that it's more useful. And I'll be like kind of taking all these chat inputs and some of the offerings that you suggested and working them into our next conversation. If you think of something afterward, feel free to email me too. So. Okay. So I think if nobody has any other comments, we can move on to the upcoming events or needs. So this is a chance for you, if your organization has something coming up, shout it out, or if you have something that you all need help from other people in the network, you can let us know here and kind of connect with other people on that.
So I can go. We have our open house tomorrow at Mitchell School. I think a lot of you are going to be there. So it'll be in the back playground. Positive vibes that it does not rain, because we do have like a full live band and catered food and all this stuff. So everybody's more than welcome to come. It's from 4 to 7, and the address is 1728 South 23rd Street, Mitchell School.
And we'll bring our umbrellas.
So I can share. So I didn't have the opportunity to introduce myself, but I'm the executive director of Beyond STEM. And we are an organization on a mission to ensure the next generation of technology creators matches its consumers. And so we provide STEM enrichment programming in the Milwaukee area. Our Fall Saturday series registration opens on September 1st. And so it's basically, a one Saturday per month 4-hour event that middle school students can partake in. And so our first Saturday is October 16th, November 13th, December 11th, and then January 15th are our dates for the fall series. But it really gives students the opportunity to learn more about tech disciplines, some of the hottest tech trends, and the students also will learn how to code.
And I'm sorry, could you say your organization one more time? Was it Beyond STEM?
Yep, Beyond
Okay.
STEM, yes.
Thank you.
Where is it being held?
All of our sessions are held on MSOE's campus. So the students not only get to partake in STEM learning, but they also have the experience of being on a college campus as well.
Great.
I was thinking there are 2 middle schools that are on, I know at least that are on this call. Well, one's on and one is in the meeting. So I don't know if you're still looking for registration over the next few days. If you wanted to, like, that might be, I guess I was just thinking about that. If you have open spots, you could either email Laura or you could email me, and Rogers also has been coming to this call.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll definitely share. We haven't officially opened registration. That doesn't happen until September 1st. So at this point, all of our spots are open for the program.
Teens Grow Greens has their entrepreneurial pitch night. It's called the Perennial, and it's going to be hosted at Zocalo on September 16th. I believe it starts at 4 p.m., but it could be starting at 6 p.m. So I'm just going to say 6 to 8 p.m. I think is the correct start time. And it's a time when we invite the community to come see what the teens have been doing during the internship, and also allow for recruitment for the next internship. So that event will be hosted at Zocalo, the food truck park.
I'm muted.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna read Patrick, so Ariel, you can go first and then I'll read.
Okay. We have a couple different things going on. The first thing is yoga. We're gonna have 2. It's gonna be in the Layton Boulevard West neighborhood, but anyone is welcome and it's completely free. So September 7th and September 21st. And then the only other thing is that right now Safe and Sound is doing surveys. They're about neighborhood safety. And it is for anyone who lives, works, plays, or worships in the Clark Square neighborhood. And I am more than happy to share the QR code to said survey. And young people are encouraged, 12 and up is encouraged to fill out the survey.
And then Patrick said MCC is currently recruiting for the next youth build cohort. Young people 18 to 24 interested in learning more about the trades with or without a high school diploma are encouraged to apply. He left a number and also dropped a link to, I think, the application. So you can find that in the chat.
Well, and just looking at this list of opportunities and events, like every time I come on this meeting, it's such an inspirational set of events that are coming up. And I think really focusing on that goal of having as many students, youth as possible participate. And then Patrick, as you put it too, seeing if like the neighborhood feels as inspired by, and as aware of all of these amazing things that are going to go on. And then if there are areas where people aren't as aware, really trying to increase that awareness, that connectedness, as well as really getting into these programs. That this, I guess, just sharing these events is getting me even more excited about the direction that this group is going.
I have one more event for anybody on the south side or near south side. We have been working on Bike Boulevard on the Washington and Scott Streets between 1st and 27th Street with the city. And we have our kind of last open house event happening on September 17th. That's a Friday afternoon from 4 to 7 p.m. And we'll have like family friendly like exercise class and kids activities, and get to like meet some artists. There's also going to be a bike and walk up and down the corridor just to kind of get people excited about it from 4 to 5. Anyone's invited. It's kind of the last opportunity for people to like see what changes the city is proposing and say like, yes, we want a speed hump here. No, we don't want a traffic circle here. Thanks.
Through 16th Street Health Centers, we're also hosting a placemaking event focused really on street safety. It'll be kind of like a resource fair style event. So this will be at the vacant lot over on 16th and Forest Home. It's like right on the corner. So we are also going to be having different organizations come and table. We're having music, we're having art activities for kids. So it's just like a way to advocate for the street safety and activate that space as well. So it'd be awesome if you guys can come. And this is September 11th from 10 to 2. Thank you.
And we will both be there. I don't know if anyone else in the group is also there, but if you have flyers that you want to pass over to us that we can, you know, have at our table, that's totally fine. And I think Laura said the same thing in the chat for tomorrow night as well. So she put her email address in there. Look at all these events. You guys are busy. Is there any others that anyone wants to throw out there?
I just wanted to let you know the Zocalo event is September 16th for the date on that one. And it's actually from 5:30 to 7. It's a school night, so I get why they're doing it a little bit earlier.
I have one more. Sorry, just really quick. Tomorrow we're going to be hosting a cleanup at Pulaski Park. So anyone who's in the area, we'd love to have you join as well. And that is from 3:30 to 6.
That's Pulaski Park on the south side, 16th and Harrison, not the north side, Pulaski Park.
Okay, thanks everyone for sharing all these. This is like a really great list of events here. So hopefully that'll help you guys get connected in some ways. It's good just to know that these things are going on, to be able to share with residents and things like that as well. All right, I think we're gonna move on to our action steps. Kind of wrap things up here.
All right, so for those of you that were at the last meeting, you know that we're ending every meeting with a cheer. We're going to do another one today so you can see it, but if anyone would be willing to lead a cheer at our next meeting at the end, we can put you here now, or we could come back after you see our cheer. So maybe just put it in the chat if you would be willing to. And then the second thing is, Allison and Edith and Mary and I have been having a planning meeting. So we just take what is happening here and think about the next meeting. And it would be really, really helpful if anyone would be willing to join in to our planning meeting. We have it tentatively set on September 14th, but we could also move it based on your schedule. Just takes about 30-45 minutes. Just getting more input into planning the meetings would be awesome. So maybe we'll give a minute for you to think about either of those things. And then if you want to maybe put it in the chat, if you might be willing to, you don't even have to fully commit. You could just say, I'm potentially interested in joining the planning meeting, and we could reach out to you and see if you would still be able to. And the planning meeting really is just a very informal conversation where we just look over what we talked about. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We got 2 people, so we're gonna go with those two, and then anyone else, obviously still put it in the chat. And also anyone else could help at the next meeting, for the next planning meeting. All right, so let's move on for the cheer. Once you hear the cheer today, then if you have a cheer or type of person that could lead a cheer, we could even give you a variety of cheers if you want to put that in the chat too.
Oh, great. Another person interested. Okay, so the person that we had doing our cheer is not here, so I'm going to lead another one. It's the roller coaster, and it was given to me by Mary. Again, thank you for having just like the pocket of knowledge of cheers for Zoom meetings. The thing we never thought we'd need, right? So anyway, how this is gonna go is I go, and then when I get to the top, we all go woo, woo, and scream like crazy.
All right, so volumes up or mutes off or however we say it.
Okay, everybody ready? Thank you.
Did you do the Center for Urban Teaching? Those remind me of like those props that we used to do for students.
No, but I use them frequently in the classroom.
Gotcha.
So
Michaela, was that you
yeah.
volunteering by any chance for?
Oh gosh. Okay, yeah.
Woo!
I can come up with a cheer or a prop for next time. Sure.
That'd be awesome. And then
Awesome.
we have 2 more people in the chat who said they'd be interested in helping.
Yes, fantastic. We will send out an email. Thank you so much. That's really, really helpful.
All right, I think that's it then. Thank you all again for joining us this month. We'll be in touch with all the info from today's meeting. I'll try to send that out as soon as possible so we can have all the event information in there. And then we'll be meeting next month, September 22nd, same time. So we'll see you then, or we'll see you before then. Have a nice day, everyone.
Great to see everyone.
Stay cool. Have a good day.